Cronan Saga.
Cronan lifted Alex to his feet. "Come, bird!" he called to the darkness, and Billy Bird fluttered into view, landing on Alex's shoulder. "We must find this Willie. If it were my fair Monalishi who were taken," he touched his chest, eyes distant for a moment. I would surely want to know." They heard the sound of a distant siren. Alex looked at the broken bodies surrounding them. He shook his head, collecting himself. "We need to move," he said worriedly. "And I need a drink." The bell rang when the door opened. The fluorescent lights of the convenience store flickered as Cronan, Alex, and Billy Bird entered. Cronan's massive frame barely fit through the doorway. The stench of cigarettes and stale beer hung in the air. An old addict argued with himself quietly in the corner. The faint hum of a faulty refrigerator in the back covered a country tune rattling out from a tinny radio behind the register.
It's tough on my heart, but when I knock
The cashier eyed them cautiously, but said nothing as the trio fanned out through the store. Cronan stood for a moment in awe. He slowly walked down the snack aisle, shaking his head. Such a wondrous display of colors and runes. But each time he picked up a package, he saw that he had been tricked. Foul magic. He wrinkled his nose at a bag of pork rinds. Sorcery, he muttered. He then scowled for a moment, inspecting a bottle of Cheese Whiz. The devil's own sorcery. Then, something caught the corner of his eye. He spun around in a defensive stance, nearly knocking over the whole row of shelves, rift blade drawn. He eyed a packet of gummy worms suspiciously. Surely the work of Smooth Jahaz. He kept his distance from the snack aisle then, skirting around it towards the refrigerators lining the far wall. Alex was restless, his eyes still wide and unfocused from the jazzy frenzy earlier, and blood caked under his fingernails. Billy Bird flitted between the racks of cheap liquor, pecking at different bottles as though inspecting them for sounds. He tapped a dusty bottle of whiskey and squawked.
This one, bro.
Wordlessly, Alex grabbed the neck of the bottle and headed to the counter. The cashier crossed his arms as Alex approached and placed the bottle in front of him.
You can't buy that, boy.
Alex's eyes flashed up. He took a slow breath in, inhaling deeply, nostrils flared, eyes glowing in intensity. Oh, dirty fool! He forced his lips into a quivering smile. Then, do you want me to take it?
Well,
The cashier noticed his burnt, flaking skin, the blood on his hands, the bruises all over his body, and, most of all, the clear, murderous desire in his eyes.
Take it, bro.
Called Billy Bird, head cocked, beady eyes sideways.
Take it.
Alex's smile grew. Cronan approached the counter, casting a shadow over the entire back wall of the room, causing the cashier to flinch. What manner of fruits? said Cronan, placing 2 cans of Fanta Orange on the counter. "Or these." He lifted one up and took a large bite. Fizzing liquid dribbled down his chin and elbow as he chewed on the aluminum. "Their skins are tough, but their nectar sweet." Seeing the man's reaction and the intensity with which Alex regarded him, Cronan's eyes sharpened. He placed the locket on the counter. "Have you seen this man before? I bear important tidings." The cashier's eyes flickered between Cronan, Alex, and the locket. His fingers fidgeted, but he shook his head.
Nah, I ain't, and I don't want no trouble. He knows,
called Billy Bird.
Billy says you know.
His hand shaking, he leaned in close over the counter. Too close.
Where's the jazz?"
he whispered, his voice unnervingly tense, his face still stretching itself into a smile. The cashier's eyes widened.
I don't know what you're talking about, but if that's the kind of place you're looking for, the Rising Sun, it's down the street. The pink door. People go there to,
The cashier's eyes darted around, looking for an escape.
Please, just take the drinks, take them and go,
he said pleadingly. Cronan placed his hand on his chest and bowed slightly before turning to leave. Alex lingered for a moment, still smiling as he slowly dragged the whiskey off the counter. The Rising Sun had no sign. Like so many other buildings in the district, it was a derelict husk from the outside. Years of industrial grime had caked on the walls, the windows, and the engraved sun on the door, a patina of decay. But from somewhere inside, they could hear the sound of music. A rhythmic bass boomed deep, bubbling up from the building's intestines. Beneath the engraving, there was a single metal slat and no knob. Cronan pounded on the door. The slat opened, dark inside, but for a set of grinning teeth. "We demand entry. We are looking for Willie. We bear grim news." The mouth in the door disappeared for a moment, replaced by a red-orange point. Smoke then poured out from the hole in the door. The teeth reappeared. "That ain't the password. Now fuck off, jazz freak." "But for my honor as a messenger and the gravity of the news I bring, I would tear down this door and strangle you with your own esophagus. Stand aside," bellowed Cronan. This outburst excited Alex, who, whiskey in hand, began shouting, "Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!" provocatively. The slat shut. Incensed, Cronan took the locket into his palm, and in one violent motion, punched his hand straight into the door's slat, penetrating it elbow deep. There was a moment of silence, followed by the sound of a heavy deadbolt being undone. "My apologies. Why didn't you say you were, friends of Willie?" said the teeth. The door opened. A squat man with dark skin and shining teeth grinned at them. "Welcome to the Rising Sun. Willie's at the back." The interior of the Rising Sun was entirely red. Velvet cloth draped from the ceiling, every wall dark and smooth. The sound of dice rolling and the murmurs of a crowd filled the air. Red lights bathed the room in an eerie glow, and the scent of sweat and cheap perfume mingled with tobacco. Alex barely noticed. He was transfixed. Women, breasts exposed, mingled with the clientele, draped their legs over bodies, nuzzled affectionately in the crooks of necks, and suckled on earlobes, whispering debauched possibilities, so ready to be realized. Figures lounged in the darkness, sipping drinks and stroking skin, but their eyes gleamed like predators. They watched, following the tumbling dice, sliding along the curved lines of women, and checked the entrances and exits. A pair of women came over to them. The tall, buxom one began caressing Cronan's massive arms.
I bet muscles like this just hurt. A strong man like you must make girls so sore.
A thin layer of sweat reflected in the soft yellow of chandelier light. She let her lips graze across his skin as she spoke. A shorter girl with curvy, wide hips pressed herself against Alex, her breasts intoxicatingly close, filling his senses. It was as though he had been transported to a place that was both far away and incredibly close, smooth and warm. A foreigner in this welcome valley, Alex was unable to speak.
You poor thing. You're all bruised,
she said between kisses.
Mommy will make you feel better. Much better.
Claire, Roxanne, get these boys a drink. A large man gripped Cronan by the forearm. Good to meet ya, good to meet ya. I am Cronan, and this is my companion, Alex, and his brother, Billy, he said, gesturing to the boy and the bird. Cronan shifted the tall woman away from his chest. Mead, woman. The woman looked confused for a moment, but the man made a shooing motion with his hand, dismissing her apprehension. He had a wide face with strong eyebrows and long, frizzy hair. He grinned a winning smile, exposing a golden tooth. I'm Willie, the proprietor of this establishment. I heard you have my locket. Cronan passed him the jewelry. As he examined it, the tall, buxom woman returned with 2 glasses. Thank you, Claire. A mead for strong Cronan, and
Coke,
Claire added. A Coke for our Alex, he said, handing them the drinks.
Whiskey Coke,
said Alex. Fair enough, he said good-naturedly, and poured half of his whiskey into Alex's glass. His expression grew more serious as he turned back to Cronan. So, where did you get this? Your lover was slain by criminals fueled by smooth jazz, said Cronan solemnly.
smooth jazz,
repeated Alex quietly. We attempted to prevent her from being defiled, but she perished in the fight. I am sorry. Willie's face twisted in anguish. No, not Jerry, my sweet Jerry. He put his hands around his head and let out a pained moan. Jerry. He sat there for a moment, looking at the floor. Thank you, he said at last, slowly. Cronan began to rise, but he interrupted him. Please, I know we just met, but... He wiped away a tear. Would you join me for a drink in my private room in the back? I just don't know what I would do if I were alone. He looked up at the ceiling. It would be our honor, said Cronan, bowing. He gestured to Alex. Willie led them past a large steel door to the private high-stakes room. A dozen or so people were playing in the smoky light of a craps table. A lanky man with fingers too long for comfort polished a glass, his eyes scanning the room. Dice clattered against scarred wooden tables where gamblers played with an understated intensity, their stony expressions broken only by the occasional growl or flash of teeth when the stakes climbed too high. When they had all taken a seat, Willie snapped his fingers as two men locked the door behind them. He leaned over the table, delicately wiping away a tear from the corner of his eye. You see, I loved Sweet Cherry. Sweet, sweet Cherry, he said as he sadly shook his head. But you see, Sweet Cherry was my bitch, and her blood is on your hands, he said, pointing to Alex. He cracked his knuckles. And you've gotta pay. Everybody pays. Everybody pays me, because I'm the leader of the Suns, and you're in the fucking rising sun. There was a chorus of agreement from the figures in the room.
Hell yeah,
You know it. Watch out, huh?
Sun never sets.
Someone called from the room, drawing more cheers. Now. I am a fair man, he said, louder, playing to the audience in the room. Seeing as I'm not certain you did the deed, I'll give you odds at the table. If you win, I'll give you a cut of our new shipment. But if you lose, it's $250 million.
$250 million.
The rules are simple. We each roll 6 dice. Highest total wins. But seeing as it's my house, I get an extra roll. House rules.
Cronan Saga.